So I've been using the iPhone 16 Pro Max for almost exactly 1 year from now. And with the recent reveal of the iPhone 17 lineup, depending on when you watch this video, of course, I figured this is the perfect time to give my final verdict for the 16 Pro Max, the end of the boring era for iPhone.
It was always me versus me, it was never me versus you.
I think we can all agree that the iPhone 16 Pro Max has felt like peak refinement rather than a leap forward into smartphone innovation, which isn't an Apple only issue. I think the smartphone industry as a whole has plateaued outside of the foldable space, with most phone companies making incremental design changes with all the focus on battery life and cameras. What has drawn me to this phone more so than any other device outside of the obvious Apple ecosystem are a few things. The camera, in my opinion, is still the industry's best and most reliable. Simplicity, which I know Apple gets a lot of hate for, but I personally found myself gravitating back time and time again. The design and build, I love the titanium color, the physical button placements. I find the phone incredibly comfortable and ergonomic. The silky smooth texture matte glass back combined with the shiny rails and rounded edges really make this device feel premium in hand. In terms of battery life, this is a time of year where I start to see degradation of my battery. I did notice when I first switched from the 15 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max that I had an uptick in battery, probably about a few hours, and could get through a full day easily. But now with 92% maximum capacity after 427 cycles, resulting in fewer hours of usage, there are some moments where I notice my battery drains, even earlier in the day. Now technically, with this many cycles, my iPhone 16 Pro Max battery life is above average, since most iPhones do dip around 90%. So I've noticed that over 80% of you all are not subscribed. So it will be amazing if you can consider subscribing to the channel. We drop videos like this 3 to 4 times a week. I'm an ex-software engineer turned tech bro. I don't even know if I could be turned tech bro because technically I was a tech bro. We're so close to 200,000 subscribers, which is a major milestone for the channel. And we're literally less than 7,000 subscribers away. So I would greatly appreciate if you guys could hit that subscribe button. 1 year of usage with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I did manage to shatter the back glass. And this is the first time I managed to shatter the front or back of my iPhone in as many years as I can remember, maybe even dating all the way back to college. Now, this was my fault. I was rocking the phone caseless, and it's just because I wanted to minimize bulk while going on a distance run. I did, however, drop my phone flat on its back on some concrete while running in Manhattan. The sleek and smooth feel of this device with sweaty palms is just not a good combination. The worst part about it is I dropped it right before I was gonna pick up my bag, which had my Peak Design mobile case. And of course, the phone shattered. Nonetheless, I do think this phone has a solid durability if you're not like me and a bit more careful. Now, I do have quite a few nicks and dings along the rails of this device. The display is scratch prone, and I noticed I started getting these micro scratches on my display, maybe even like 1 day after unboxing the phone, which seems inevitable for Apple's ceramic shield display. It holds up well against drops, but those tiny scratches add up fast in daily use. All in all, I say this phone is durable. I've lost count of how many times I've dropped it flat on its face, holding my breath before flipping it over, and yet I've never managed to crack the front display. One thing I do love about iPhones and just Apple products is they age well and they hold up over time. The 2000 nits of peak brightness is impressive, but during prolonged use in direct sunlight, whether I'm multitasking or using maps, the display does tend to dim, it starts to heat up, and I do notice some battery drain, which is one of the main reasons why I'm excited to test out the iPhone 17 Pro Max. More on that later. So one of the main reasons why I love the iPhone 16 Pro Max after this year of usage and have been gravitating back to this device after testing the Pixel 10 Pro XL, the S25 Ultra, the Z Fold 7, the list goes on, is the camera capabilities and the consistency, the consistent look that I get from the photos and videos from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I think iPhone is still the best mobile phone camera. Their color science still is the best, especially for social media, With the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I've noticed I can replicate so many different styles of photography, which is really fun and gives me a peace of mind as a creator that I'm not hindered by my phone's ability to capture photos if I'm not in ideal conditions. I've tested a ton of phones like I just mentioned, and the glaring difference between the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the other phones is the camera experience is a lot smoother. Photos look real, not overly processed, skin textures look natural, and iPhone does an excellent job with orange and red hues. I also love how well the photos look when you reduce the exposure for more of a moody theme, but you don't lose quality in the photos. And my most used feature for the 16 Pro Max are the tones style. I absolutely love using tones for photographs. I'm pretty sure I use it for every single picture I post on Instagram and TikTok. I also think it's a feature that other mobile phone brands should start implementing in their cameras. It's an easy and instant way to customize the hue of your photos without overly saturating them, and also like finding a LUT that works well with your skin tone or whatever the white balance is for a subject you're shooting. The same sentiment around photo I feel about video. I primarily shoot in 4K 30 frames per second. I've made a ton of videos this past year during my travels using the 48 megapixel main sensor with log. And the log footage is also another one of the main reasons why I gravitate back to this device. The log footage, in my opinion, is the easiest to use between Apple and Samsung to work with. Apple's log records in the wide gamut Rec 2020 color space, and it's designed to work with ACES, the same cinema standard Hollywood uses. So out of the camera, the footage looks flat, but once you drop it into Premiere and apply the built-in Apple log to Rec 707 LUT, the colors pop back instantly, giving you a perfect base for grading. What makes it even more impressive is that the iPhone layers heavy computational processing on top of the log, enhancing detail, balancing exposure, and smoothing out noise in ways that even mirrorless cameras leave up to post-production. That's why in ideal lighting conditions like sunset and sunrise, you can replace your mirrorless camera with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I've been running iOS 26 Public Beta 3 on this iPhone, which is a little more polished than the developer beta, but both give you early access to features before the official September release. When I initially updated to the private beta, my 16 Pro Max was throttling a ton. It ran so hot and the battery would drain a lot faster. However, with this public beta 3, I haven't had those issues. So that's good to know that the liquid glass software update won't absolutely destroy the efficiency of the 16 Pro Max. By the way, if you want to check out my iOS 26 liquid glass setup, click this card that should be popping up right now to check out that video. But after the iOS 26 update, it honestly made me feel like I had a totally new, upgraded iPhone because the UI components felt so fresh and new, futuristic, and also it's another level of customization that you don't normally get with iPhones. So am I switching from the iPhone 16 Pro Max to the iPhone 17 Pro Max? The answer is yes. I actually have my pre-order scheduled for September 19th, the launch date for the 17 lineup at 1:45 p.m. specifically on the dot. All three rear cameras are now 48 megapixels. You have the added 8x telephoto lens, and honestly, I was a big fan of the 5x telephoto lens, giving me a different type of format or POV. Coupled with the expectations that the phone can stay brighter outdoors in direct sunlight because of the vapor cooling chamber technology, helping reduce the throttle, which also should improve the battery life. Now, if you're someone who is coming from an iPhone 13 Pro Max and earlier, I don't necessarily think the 17 Pro Max is worth the upgrade. And I think the iPhone 16 Pro Max could be your best option, because with the 16 Pro Max, you get an always on display adaptive refresh rate, a 6.9 inch versus 6.7 inch display, the A18 Pro chip, log, and 5 more hours of video playback battery life, along with a 5x zoom. And I've been talking with one of my bros for like the past few months about him upgrading his 14 Pro Max. One of his frustrations with upgrading to the 16 Pro Max from the 14 is that the 16 Pro Max just seems like a premium version of the 14 Pro Max. However, if you have a 13 Pro Max and older and you can find a good deal on a 16 Pro Max or a good condition pre-owned 16 Pro Max, I don't think you'll notice that much of a difference between the 16 and 17 because this does still feel like somewhat of an incremental change. So that wraps up this video, and I do think this is the end of the boring era for iPhone. For one, you have a totally new device, the iPhone Air, and now the non-Pro phones are getting Pro features like Pro Motion, something we don't usually see if ever seen from iPhone. The 17 Pro Max does have a new design, the plateau camera bump, that really interesting cosmic orange colorway that if you pair with an army green case, your phone looks like a Ninja Turtle. But some speculate that if or when iPhone drops a fold, it'll basically be two iPhone Airs combined. So we'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was really fun just sharing with you all some of my favorite photos that I've taken with this device, some of the video I've taken. Honestly, it's been so fun using this phone. As always, I appreciate you guys taking time to watch today's video. If you're still here, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down some of your thoughts about the iPhone 17 lineup, and I'm gonna see you guys next week because next week is the official launch and release of the iPhone 17. Peace.